In this week's episode of Chateau Capers, there's spaghetti piping, the skirting board finally gets made, I'm prepping for another Chateau DIY visit, and the garden gate gets a big upgrade. This week, summer is due to begin. By the end of the week, we're expecting 32 degrees Celsius. I wanted to get a lot of manual work completed before I got so hot I'd just be a sweaty lump hiding in the corner. This coming weekend, we're expecting another visit from Chateau DIY, and I need to make some progress in the laundry room where they'll be filming. They've already seen as much plumbing and dusty rubble as they need for this project, so before they arrive I need to run a hot and cold pipe into the cupboard, as this is where I'll be installing the hot water cylinder for the shower room. I also need to fill in the channel I dug for the new water main, as we will be beginning to tile over the concrete. I'm digging under the wall so that I can run my new hot and cold pipes in the same trench as the cold main. All pipes are hidden in conduit, and I will keep the cold feed for the hot water in between the cold main. Unlikely as it is, I don't want any heat bridging into the main cold water feed. The channel is fairly shallow, but the pipes will be buried with a minimum clearance of 50mm. As an indoor space, there won't be any heavy vehicles passing over the top. I'm not connecting these pipes up just yet, so for now the plumbing work was done. I've had an idea for the new garden gate over there, and I don't know whether it's going to work, but it does involve carving wood and making an intricate design. So I don't know how this is going to work out, whether it'll work at all, whether I'll give up on it. But if I don't try, I'll never know. And if it does work, it'll be quite exciting. Like sculptors for hundreds of years, I was using a traditional battery-powered angle grinder. I think you'll find that that's how Michelangelo buffed up David's buns. I want my carved piece to have an organic feel to it. Since it is attached to the chateau and will be seen by us every day, if my plan works, the gate will be much more ornate than a basic wooden gate. Clearly I'm building this up more than I should. I still don't yet know if it'll work. I carried on shaping the wood until I had a rough pattern forming. I don't think this camera view shows the details off terribly well. There will be much more to do before it's finished. Well, I've proved that the concept works. I think my angle grinder with that sander disc might do quite well, certainly to get the shape of it. I'm not going to reveal exactly what I'm going to do. It might be easy to guess, but we'll see. And we'll see if it works, more importantly, but I'm quite excited by how it's going to begin with, so... The week had started well. I felt a real sense of achievement and a renewed desire to get things done. It had been a while since I'd had the chance to work on the finishings in the creaky bedroom, but today was the day. I cut down a sheet of plywood into strips which will form the rectangular shapes that make up the wood panelling inside the shower room. But little did I know that work was about to grind to a halt, and not just because the camera fell over. By the end of this week, we should be basking in upwards of 30 degrees Celsius. However, the weekend I was working through was smattered with heavy showers. Somewhere, the rainwater had found its way into the electrics and the whole chateau was tripping out. Sadly, I don't mean that everything was heavy, man. Rather, it meant I couldn't use any power tools at all. Adding to the misery, the electric water heater that will feed the creaky bedroom shower has developed a fault. Before the company would accept that the unit was at fault, I had to perform several minor plumbing miracles to ensure that the water pressure and flow and the distance of the pipe runs were all satisfactory. Anyway, we need a new water heater. It also means I can't finish the panelling in the shower room until the water heater is replaced, in case I need to make any minor adjustments to the pressure and the flow of the pipework. Still with me? After the rainy days, the sun came out, but we were yet to see an electrician. I was able to carry on removing old loose mortar from the walls with the battery SDS chisel until the electrician arrived. Magically, he did nothing and the board stopped tripping. Conclusion: the likely culprit is one of the outside lights. Old sun-damaged wiring may have become exposed, but with the weather drying, the water evaporated and everything worked again. I'll have to make some repairs. More importantly, my power tools worked again. There was no time to waste. I had a job I've been looking forward to and avoiding, that of making the skirting board. Skirting board is expensive here, and also the slim pickings we've found were fairly low quality and not tall enough for our needs and desires. I bought these large pine boards and first of all cut them in half. I had 3 1.6 metre long boards. From that I should be able to make 9.6 metres of skirting. I'm not sure if that will finish the job, but it won't be far off. Once that was done, I tried out my new coffee table router with the new guide fence I'd recently made. I had some teething troubles, like the wing nuts securing the fence kept coming loose due to a minor oscillation of the router bit at high speed causing a vibration. I thought it was just a quirk of this inexpensive router plate and that I'd just have to put up with it, but dialing back the rotation speed a little solved the issue. I had another problem in that the router cutting bit has a guide bearing to ensure an even cutting depth, but that fell apart. Luckily I had another bit with the same size bearing which I could borrow. Because the router bit was too deep to cut in one go, I had to make 2 or 3 shallow passes to reach the full depth. It wasn't long though before I had all 6 boards finished and enough sawdust to fill a hamster cage. Well, almost finished. There was a small amount of excess that I needed to shave off the top of each board, but then I was finished. I set the boards on the sawhorses so that Jane and the cats could give them an undercoat and ultimately a top coat before I fit them. Arwen got a little too pawsy with the wet paint. Still, with no harm done, Jane moved on to other areas of the room, still awaiting a good priming. I know what you're thinking. Who's that rock legend with legs that go on for miles, and why is he making concrete? If you thought it was Bon Jovi, I'm sorry to say it's just me. I was trying out new Bluetooth headphones so I could listen to audiobooks while I work. Jane has a similar headband and it was her recommendation that led me to looking this good. We don't feel we have enough spare time to sit down and read, so we both burn through audiobooks at quite a speed. Speaking of which, we're always on the lookout for new books to listen to. Do any of you listen to audiobooks? And if so, are there any favourites you'd recommend? Back to the job in hand. With Chateau DIY coming at the weekend to see us tiling, I really needed the floor to be ready for tiling, and with a long trench cutting down the middle, it was far from ready. I had to weight the water pipe down so that it stayed in place as I added the concrete. I was using up the ends of old bags of cement and sand and gravel I could find scattered about the place. It was mainly leftovers from the swimming pool build last year. I even found 2 bags of pre-made mortar mix I added in. I can't even remember why I bought them. I was trying hard to mix only what I needed, but was constantly surprised by just how much was needed. I really didn't want to have half a barrow full of unwanted wet concrete to dispose of. As it happens, I actually don't have enough to completely fill the trench, so I'll have to buy more. Crucially though, there was enough to cover the area that I will be tiling at the weekend. Earlier in the week I'd been scrabbling around looking for jobs I could actually do. Without power tools to work on the most important jobs around the chateau, I turned my hand to the garden gate I've been building. I was planning on using my miter saw, but of course no electricity, no choppy. Instead, I used my battery circular saw. Without a good workbench to use, I knew my cuts wouldn't be absolutely perfect, which was okay because I planned to curve the top edge of the gate anyway. Against all odds, I'd bought the right amount of wood. Marvellous. The next day, I decided to get sculpting again. I wanted the overall feel to be rather tree-like. I am aware of how silly that sounds. I'm carving a piece of wood to look like wood. Anyway, right now it's still too cuboid and blocky. I've been using angle grinders for a very long time now, and I still wouldn't advise using it without its guard when your fingers are so close to the spinning blade. So don't do it. Also, if I was using a grinding disc rather than a sanding disc, I'd definitely be wearing even more personal protection. Now that the power stays on and the sun is shining, it's high time I made this gate look chateau-worthy. There have been one or two mysterious instances of escaping bunties, and we have our suspicions the gate may have played a part. My original plan had been to butt the wooden slats together, but then I remembered that pine decking has a mind of its own. It swells when the air is damp and shrinks when things dry out, so it needs a bit of breathing room. For safety, I decided I'd leave a 5mm gap between each one. The first slat needed a slightly angled edge to match up with a chateau side gatepost. It's looking a lot more like a proper gate now, rather than just some beat up old bit of rubbish I knocked together. There's still a long way to go because I've got all my decorative bits to finish off, should they work. But either way, even if I don't use my decorative extras, I'll probably shape this a little to give it a little bit of a sweep down and back up to make it a little bit more interesting. But for now, this gate is done. This video is a little shorter than usual, but with the electricity fault and the broken shower heater, we lost a couple of days. That's just the way it is sometimes. We will be back next week with more. Until then, stay safe and enjoy the sunshine if you have it.